Hey everybody, what's going on? This is B from Kongs R Us, and welcome to the Next Level. This is my weekly podcast show where we bring you next level things, guests, community members, and different topics that I might have talked about in the past, but I have some fun thoughts and some friends that wanted to talk pinball. So, hey, if you saw the thumbnail, I am trying my best to audition for this band called the Pinheads. And who better to know about the Pinheads than Justin Console Kids? What's going on, man?
What's going on, man? Thank you so much for having me on tonight on the next level. Let's take it to the next level tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. So, topic, if you saw, virtual pinball, real pinball, and yeah, there's some options out there for people. How did you get introduced into the pinball world? Was it through virtual pinball, or were you kind of a real pinball fan before that?
I think it was virtual pinball. Like I never really considered like owning a pinball machine. I
Mhm.
didn't play much pinball machines at an arcade. I remember going to an arcade. You have to pay a little bit more to get
Mhm.
access to their pinball machines.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I started playing the more expensive Stern machines that just like shake the entire building.
Hmm.
And I went to this arcade that has the limited edition Stern, and it was just like crazy. And then that kind of was like, oh, it's a whole experience, immersive experience with pinballs, and
Yeah.
that got me down the track of virtual and pretty soon real ones, right?
So before I even owned like a real pinball machine, like super casual, but I had gone to the old Pinball Hall of Fame in Las Vegas several times because it
Mm-hmm.
was like a marquee place to go to, and it was a little dingy. The old location, it wasn't as big as it was now, and I was playing some classic stuff, but I always had this vision before the new modern Sterns came out that the classic pinball machines were the old classic kind of dot matrix DMDs,
Right.
and there wasn't kind of like an upgraded version. And like owning one, like they're always kind of this rinky. I had this kind of vision of what they were. It wasn't until I went to my very first captain's auction pinball, my very first one that I ever went
In
to
person, huh?
in person. And when I went to go pick up my arcade and I did a live stream from there, was the first time I saw a modern pin that had a 16:9 like LCD DMD. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, there's like modern pinball that has
Right.
way more stuff in it now. And I went to go visit their showroom, which was really great. And like I was just like mind blown the first time I saw the Star Wars machine. And that was I'd say only about 2, 3 years ago where I started learning there was modern pins. And then the rabbit hole started. It was
Right.
and then virtual pinball introduced me into a whole different world of playing virtual versions of real tables versus kind of the Zen style thing. So I don't know. I feel like I am becoming definitely more addicted to the point where yesterday, unpromptedly, I went to two separate arcades just to play pinball because I had about 3 hours to kill. That's like what I look for in my free space.
Yeah, what's exciting to me is as I get more attuned to this hobby, I talk about this all the time on my podcast. I mentioned this city I live in because I think people are aware that Des Moines is a small metro area. You know, it's not a big city, and you know, I recently learned, and even more recently learned, that there's been an arcade auction in Des Moines
Mhm.
for 38 years.
Just
38 years. So
yeah.
basically, when arcades started, they started selling amusements, and that slowly evolved into arcades. And for anyone that's out there, like if you start to get into any hobby, like check local community. You may not know what you don't know.
Mhm,
And then when it comes to pinball, there's a Stern dealer here in town. He
mhm.
has an office. You can go in and talk to him, and he'll tell you all about the machines that he carries as a warehouse. He's super cool.
Nice.
He's like, come on over. And he owns an arcade that's just filled with a ton of modern pinball machines, and it's great.
Yeah.
And I haven't even gone to all of them in Des Moines yet. There's a ton of arcades, so
You don't know what you don't know, right?
that's
But
right.
I even talked to a colleague, who works in the city of Chicago, and I was like, "Yeah, I just did a trip out there. They have, like it's like arcade capital. It has the world's
Hmm.
largest." She's like, "I've lived here my whole life. I had no idea." We're so niche, we don't even know it, right? And
Yeah,
pinball is even more niche, a niche of a niche of a niche of a niche, and then
that's
pinball
right.
owners even more nichey. Um, but yeah, I think it's interesting. Somebody has a question here in the chat about, virtual pinball options because this is a nice entry point into the world of pinball. Like the virtual space, I do think the home arcade versions of pinball from both Arcade1up and AtGames and some of the other players, they did introduce pinball to the masses. They brought
That's right.
an affordable pinball machine that people could play something of a pinball machine at home. So, I mean, you have a couple of options actually pulled up. Do you
Yeah.
want to show them and let's talk
For
about that?
those that are new to this, we're going to
Mhm.
show you, like right now, the Legends Pinball, uh, in some places. Now, don't freak out if you can't get this deal, but
Yeah.
we're seeing this on various Facebook groups where people are going into Sam's, and the AtGames Legends Pinball is highly discounted. This has been up into the $700,
Oh yeah.
and so you can get a brand new 32-inch screen 1080p for $399. Like, this is killer. If you don't
Yeah.
have anything like this, go check your Sam's to see if you can get the deal. That's where I would start.
Mhm.
And what do you think about the Legends pinball machine? You know, I mean, how does it scratch the itch?
Yeah, so you had a two-part question there because it said possibly to mod as well. And so if you're looking at one pinball purchase, if you have the tinkering desire, this is a great base pinball machine to quote unquote take it to the next level.
There you go.
Because if you just played it at its surface level for the 10 games that it comes with, the 22 stock Gottlieb tables, the tables are not that, in my opinion, great, and the gameplay and the optimization is not as fun as if you really took it to something like this. So
Mm-hmm.
this is my personal At Games Legends machine where I've completely done it up with the control panel, added a custom back box, and yes, I am playing a VPX version of the Addams family on my At Games Legends pinball machine. So you can, if you wanted to, go that next level and mod it up. So yeah, it has lots of potential. The other option though, right, was the Arcade1up versions of the home arcade space. So
That's
yeah,
right.
399, not bad
That's right.
too.
This
Mhm,
is this price is interesting because we've never seen the Attack from Mars to go to 399. It's
mhm,
kind of been dipping for a while now and goes back up to 600, 700. Definitely these aren't like a $6,000 machine.
mhm,
For sure, it's not that level. But again, can it scratch that itch?
mhm,
When I got into home arcade, I was able to spend $300 on my first machine. And I told my wife, I was like, I want a full size arcade, one or two of them. But they're like, for at the time, my knowledge of arcades, getting access to them were like $2,000, $3,000. So I was willing to waste the $300 to see if this was even a hobby I wanted to get into.
yeah,
And so if you're not into pinball, you could look at it that way. If you're not ready to
mhm,
commit to
absolutely.
$5,000, $10,000 on pinball machines, you could go with a less expensive option. But this one
Yeah.
has modding options too, right?
It does, and at 399, both of these actually have pros and cons from a surface level standpoint. If you're looking for already a well-known, one of the best pinball machines of all time in Attack from Mars in terms of an artwork package, a design aesthetic that looks pretty decent, that also has by stock decent solenoid feedback as well. Like I thought the machines did good for the size package and its look. The biggest downers are the 24-inch screen
Right.
itself, and then a smaller DMD that is set up just for those games and tables. But to your point, there is actually soft modding options by Team Encoder that took the community by storm just a little over a year ago, where you can play all 30 tables on one of these machines, plus adding in Zen Pinball APK and
Mm-hmm.
Pinball Arcade. So there's been some developments where on the stock PCB, you can add over 100 games there just using the stock stuff and even using flipper like the solenoids too with that stuff. It's pretty amazing what the team encoder has done with that machine.
Yeah, a little bit of knowledge and a USB cable, you can get
Mhm,
a lot out of this machine. So there are some downsides. These machines aren't perfect.
mhm,
Like you said, 720p for the resolution of 24-inch monitor. I mean, it's pretty cool when it comes to the artwork.
mhm,
The Legends Ultimate also has some downsides to it. They're not horrible. Again, it's
mhm.
like if you can get it for $399, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
But the feedback here, right where I'm putting my
Yes.
mouse, right there, there's like these vibrations, and this particular machine, the Legends Ultimate Pinball, like the feedback that it has is leaves
Let's be
little to
honest.
be
It feels like farting on your hands. It goes.
farting on your hands. You can mod it though. You can like there's some people that have added some cushioning there to
Mhm.
kind of absorb that. Or you can what I've done, I just turn it way down. That's
Yeah,
what I
they're
do.
exciters is what they are, but they do not make me excited, no, and this you have like, I was not happy with my AtGames Legends pinball until I personally put another, like, $500 to $1,000 into the machine to make it what I wanted it to be. One,
And
I
see,
wasn't as yeah, not a lot of
you
people are
could
gonna do
take
that.
it to the next level though. You,
Good,
do you know
good.
it's kind of like this evolution thing. Like if you can pick this up for $3.99 or even $500, and
Mhm,
you can play a ton of, and you can buy more games to, you can add on hundreds of
mhm,
games on it, and
mhm,
then you're like, okay, this is fun. Let me take it to the next level, right? And then you could add, bring your own PC, and then you
mhm.
could do the same thing here, right?
Yes,
You can
you
say, I'm
could.
gonna pay this for $3.99, play the heck out of these 10 games.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm going to add another APK inside there, soft mod it, and now I'm going to play all the Marvel games. Okay, now I'm going to add and play all the Star Wars games, and then add your Zen games. It's through like going to the Android store, right, and buying them,
Correct,
and
yeah.
then pulling them out.
Yeah. So pros and cons, right? So VPN, does it scratch the itch? I would say in a sense, yeah, there's I don't know what just happened with my table, but when I added my PC, the VPN community, by the way, has been amazing at oh my, I have to make sure it's a PC running in the background. So what happened was my last monitor fell asleep and then all my screens got messed up. So you do not want to be without a keyboard handy, and when you have your PC options, make sure your computer does not fall asleep on you when you're running a PC or a stream, because I think that's what happened. Unless my back monitor just completely went out. This is what happens when I do live streams. I'm like, what happened to my whole back monitor? It just went out completely. But anyways, let's talk about the back screen anyway. So in a traditional VPN, like having a digital back glass is also one of those things that kind of makes it look really nice. So that was a 24-inch screen using the stock 16 by 9 15-inch monitor for my DMD, and then the 32-inch screen. But yeah, I don't know if my back glass monitor just like completely died or what.
Hmm.
Huh, that's
I'm
weird.
sure if you turned off your computer and turned it back on, you'd be good to go, right?
Oh, there it goes. Let's just restart the computer and just get it going again. All right, we're gonna restart that and then show all case some stuff. But yeah, so today, the cool thing about the VPN community, it's always evolving. There's community-based tables that people make through VPX, and future pinball greats like Terry Red are continuing to provide new content and folks. So if you ever wanted to get into it, a lot of that stuff is free. You don't have to buy packages. You just need to know where to get it. Or there's companies like Zen Pinball that are creating, ways that you can play either on console or on your own tables, cool recreations of pinball tables. In fact, they had a new release today for a new table that a lot of people are excited about. Did you watch that video? Did you see
I didn't
the
see it.
news?
What is it?
It is. Let me pull it up so you can see it. All right, it's pinball. Does anybody know in the chat? You guys see what it was? What it was? All right, let's see. Ba-dum-ba-ba-bum. Dun, dun, dun. Here it is. Any guesses? What's the number one pinball machine's best-selling pinball machine of all time?
The number one.
Yeah.
Number one. Best.
Yeah.
Wait.
Best-selling pinball
Best
machine of all time.
selling. I don't
Yes.
know best selling.
Best-selling pinball machine of all time. There it is. It is Addams Family. So
Okay.
Addams Family just released today, 8 hours ago. This is their trailer. So let's look at the trailer. If you haven't seen this yet, we can watch it together and see.
Yeah.
All right, here it is. All right, totally
Ooh.
demonetization right now, right? There it is. Then it's gonna keep talking over it.
Yeah. Let's keep talking over.
Yeah. So there it is. I actually got to play this for a real version for kind of the first time yesterday at one of the arcades that I went to. And yeah, so I'll talk about some of the features that I see here. But yeah, Zen Pinball coming up with their own version of Addams Family in Pinball Pass. So there it is. What'd you think? Is that something that interests you? Or do you like
Yeah.
the Zen tables?
Yeah, the Zen tables are fun. They're
Mhm.
they're they're kid friendly, they're family
Mhm.
friendly,
Mhm.
and I enjoy them. And Addams Family is a great IP.
Mhm.
When you see that, there's a handful of pinball machines that I see at an arcade that I'm like, oh yeah, I'll totally play that.
Yeah.
And I don't remember that game specifically, like the real table, but I remember playing it because I was like, oh,
Mhm.
it's Addams Family.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it is, and it's funny because like you think like best selling pinball machine of all time, like does that equal greatest selling machine or
Yeah,
greatest pinball
I
machine of
don't
all
think
time?
so. I
Like,
think those are
yeah,
different ranks.
hmm
Like
yeah,
I
absolutely,
think there's like community votes of what's the most enjoyable game of all time
yeah.
is
I'm curious
different
where
than the
Adam's
highest.
family actually ranks on the Pinside Top 100. Do you ever look
Yeah.
at that site a lot?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
From
so
time to time.
Pinside Top 100 is another place where people go to check kind of you were saying community rankings of stuff. So let's pull this up and see where Adam's family falls on this list. I'm actually pretty curious, because it kind of the rankings. I'm not gonna lie, it influenced me about my top
Yeah.
purchase most
Yeah.
recently,
For
and
sure.
so put me to the chat if you guys ever check this out and see. So right now, number one of all time, any pinball machine ever made is Godzilla. So it's amazing. But what do you think? I'm thinking it has to be at least okay. So it's 19. I was gonna say top 25, but
Yeah, what I'm curious about while you have this up, you did a video recently,
mhm,
plugging your own videos right now. If you haven't seen it, it's a great. He
mhm,
talks about uh, you show off the new 007 cab, right?
I do. Biggie D says he thinks 007 will be number one.
So that's
Um,
the question. Like, where's
yeah,
that ranking right now, and how long will
yeah.
it take for that to show up on the list?
So it needs probably more community rankings than
Hmm.
anything, and the version that I played was the Pro, and so the thing about this too, if you even look at Godzilla, the 9.1 rating is for the, even the premium edition is higher rated than the limited, and the Pro version is just an 8.8, which, but an 8.8 would still be 6th place of all time, which is pretty dang high, but other
Right.
versions of, a Pro version of Jurassic Park Pro is 8.4, which is, like, way down. The Pro version of my Star Wars would be not even in top 100. It would like
Mm.
so a lot of times the versions matter. And so I played the Pro version of the Bond table. I think it's decent. Like they like if you look at the releases that Stern has been making, like they have just been on this roll where like Rush was I think their latest game that just came out earlier this year,
Hmm.
2022, is already top 15. The one right before that, I believe was Godzilla. It was Godzilla and then it was Rush. And so like they're making things that are replacing the Cactus Canyons of the world, right? The
Right.
Lord of the Rings, the Twilight Zone, like these monster titles, the new titles are just amazing from Stern so far. They've been really impressive.
So when it comes to Stern, I mean, do you have a clue what's coming next?
I don't, but according to Michael B. the Game Genie, we were chatting on a different topic. I think I was on P-Dub's show. By the way, congratulations to P-Dubs. He hit 15,000
That's
subscribers,
great.
as well as Michael B at 28K too. But we were talking, and he said somewhere in the Google Twitterverse, there was rumors of a potential Back to the Future Stern pinball machine
Well,
coming.
now I
What do you
can't
think about
buy anything.
that? Would that be the one that you would get?
Probably. Like, it would
Yeah.
be really difficult to
Uh-huh.
pass up a Back to the Future brand new.
Oh,
Like, even
yeah,
even if that, like, for some reason the game is not as enjoyable, like if it
yeah,
only made it to the top 50 or something,
yeah. The
the
IP
IP means
alone.
so much to me.
Yeah. I don't even know where the original Data East one is on here.
I played the Data East one just in September, I want to say. And
Mhm.
even that was fun. I was
Yeah.
like, this is great. I played through a couple on it. Yeah, I've been seeing some that Data East one, and
Yeah. Maybe I missed it. Oh, man. It's down there. Did I skip it? Did I miss it? Did you
I
see it?
didn't see it so far.
Alright, let's see if it's in the top 300. Class 5. This is a lot of stuff on here. You think about, like, how many pinball machines have been created of all time? Doctor Dude is way down here? Wow, interesting.
What's
Not
really interesting about the pinball, what really fascinates me, is both of our channels we cover arcade
mhm.
topic predominantly, but the pinball topic is actually A little more interesting to me right now. I did find it.
You
Uh,
did? Did I steal?
it's on
Oh.
page 4.
It's on page 4.
There it is.
Back to the Future Pinball is rated 305th of all time. Wow.
Wow.
Okay. I mean,
What fascinates me is there's not really a company out there like Stern
yeah.
or Jersey or American in the arcade space. There's Roth Rills, but they're making more amusement type machines. They're
Mhm.
really big. Like they're not like Stern. They sell the pros mainly to arcades.
Yeah, commercial.
Premium, yeah,
Mhm.
commercial. Where
Mhm.
the premium, which is a little more expensive, is designed more for the home,
Mhm.
and it's better than the commercial one, right? When it comes to
Mhm.
the features it has. Um, Try to find a comparison in arcade, and there's some brand new companies. What was that one we played with when we were in Chicago? And I've seen it. It's white, looks like a Nintendo.
It
Do you know
was
what
an
I'm talking
arcade
about?
machine we played?
It's an arcade machine that was at
Mhm.
one of the bars we went to. It's
Mhm.
white, and it looks like a Nintendo machine, and it was
Looks like an
horrible. It's brand new.
Mhm.
It's a commercial. It's like had the worst um, joystick on it. It was
Mhm.
running a PC with like crappy software. I don't know.
Like the modern one at like Logan Arcade or something?
Yeah,
Or okay, possibly. But you are trying to say like, are there different versions of like of arcades that do different versions, like the
Polycade. And Angelo
Polycade?
said it.
Is
Yeah, it
that
was
what
the
it is?
Polycade.
Okay.
Look, if you've played the Polycade, it's horrible. At least that
Mhm.
one it was like it looks like a play choice, but the UI is horrible.
Mhm.
The joystick and buttons were worse than home arcade.
Mhm.
At least the one that I played at that bar.
Yeah. So just so as JR is saying, what's the best Pro limited edition or premium? It goes Pro, Premium, Limited Edition in terms of like the tiers, pricing tiers. Limited editions are like crazy expensive. The really only difference, like features, are actually normally the same on the premium or limited. It's
Hmm.
just aesthetic features that are different from the limited edition to the premium.
And yeah, and best is interesting because I mean I've been looking at it. I mean you can get as an example. Maybe you want to pull one up. Like if you go to Stern's website,
Sure.
is Stern the best one that shows the price tiering?
I don't even know if they're on their website specifically. But I
Um,
can at least we can look at Stare and 007, for example, and just see the differences between them.
so the so my here I have one up that kind of
Okay,
shows two of them. So
go ahead.
to give you an example, so this is my local Stern dealer, and he has. I don't think the Pro or like if you go into the Jurassic Park, this
Mhm.
is brand new. It says taking orders now, but it's out of stock, right? But he did mention to me that he thinks because he heard a rumor that Stern is going to open up Jurassic Park in March. He's like, I don't know if it's true, but he let me know if it opens up. But see, you can see the price difference. It's about $2,000, and so the Pro is what there is like more of a commercial unit. And people had told me what's nice about the Pro is there's less to break down. You know,
Yes. Yeah.
and so you're paying $2,000 more for features that potentially could break down. Not that these parts go bad all the time, but it's another $2,000.
But I've seen Pro machines actually more recently that that were more broken because of the cheapness of it. So
Mm,
one big difference you'll see in a lot of things is like the stupid toy figures that are inside the machine. So a Godzilla Premium will have real Godzilla and real Mecha Godzilla, and then in the Pro version, they'll just be a little acrylic picture of them. And the one that I played yesterday, I played a Godzilla Pro, and the freaking Mecha Godzilla was cracked because a pinball hit it and it broke. So I was like, this is really stupid that, they couldn't put a $5 figure in there, even if it was a pro model. Like, I get the gameplay might be a little bit different because some of
hmm
the big moving features, but like a $5 to $10 figure, I think that really bugs me that pros don't have the actual figures in there.
yeah. But then I wish we had close up on it, but maybe it's in the C brochure. But as an example, like the Mandalorian,
Mhm.
over in the corner here, it's like the Mando's helmet,
Mhm.
and it's just kind of laying flat,
Oh, yeah.
and the ball can go up in there and you play. I don't know what that's called, but you can basically play another game inside. It's like a mini game.
Mhm.
But if you go to I don't know if it's the premium or if it's the
Yep.
limited edition. Is it the
Both the
premium?
premium limited.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
It's tilted
Both
way
of them.
up, which is
Mhm.
so much cooler, right? Like you can actually see it when you're
Mhm.
constantly playing, and when your ball goes in there, it's like you're playing a mini game, more vertically.
Yeah.
So I mean, Mandalorian Premium was one that was on my list, and if I was gonna pick the two, it'd be the premium when it comes to Mandalorian because of that
Yeah.
feature.
For sure. All right, we got a $5 super chat from Peter Griffith Electric Drums. Thank you. It says, truth be told, real pins are way better, but for the cost, better off buying a high-end virtual pinball table because there's many more games instead of one. So, I mean, I don't know when you joined, but we were talking about pinball, virtual pinball options. You make a great point that yes, on a single table for my VPin, I have literally hundreds and hundreds of tables, and I don't know even what happened. So this is the thing though, with with everything comes great responsibility. What happened to my pinup popper? It like completely died. All right, there it is.
Jeez.
Okay. So yeah, this is pinup popper, and I do have hundreds of tables that you can play on a machine. So there's all these different fun recreations of tables. You can definitely scratch your itch playing a lot of these. But there is limitations. I one of the biggest things that I did was installed a shaker motor in here, and that really kicks ass. So between flipper solenoids and shaker motors, you're right. You can play hundreds of tables versus then a singular, Star Wars pinball. But the physics, but the like hitting ramps, like I discovered a lot of differences playing the real versions of Medieval Madness compared to the hours I put into the virtual versions of that table. It's similar. It's great to learn the mechanics, but like nothing replaces the real physical thing, the real thing.
Are you sure?
I
Because
don't know.
I've been doing
I
the
don't
game
know.
room tours, and as
Mhm,
I'm going through the tour, right,
mhm,
I'm like, "What is that?
mhm,
What machine is that?" Right, and then
mhm.
people email me, and
Yeah.
I've got so many emails, and they keep pointing to the same machine. Now, I did some research in it. I don't know if everyone in the chat has gone down this route, but
Mhm.
there's an entire world, a YouTube world of people that talk about this particular brand in detail. Several content creators that dive in, and they say it's the best. You ready for it?
I'm ready.
I'm sure you've seen it.
Yes.
It's the Ultra VP virtual pinball machine, about $9,000. Whoa, wait a second. Keep in
That's a
mind that
premium.
that's a premium price, right? But what do
Mhm.
you get? And keep in mind, I went down this rabbit hole and was like, maybe a 49-inch screen. It's 4K, and the machine in it is outputting 4K. It's like, I
Mhm.
think 3
Yeah.
monitors. Is that right?
Yeah.
And the quality, if you just do your research yourself, there's enough content creators that are doing it justice. The amount of solenoids that are inside here, and the how loud it is, the quality of it. They ship it to you, um, and there's multiple versions. So this latest one is this Model 6, and I guess there's a Model 5 as well. And yeah, so this VP machine is supposed to be pretty amazing. So when it comes to the specs, think I was looking in here. I wanted to know, like, is the monitor HDR? Like that's the only other thing I could think they could go further with it. You got 49-inch UHD 4K, 120 kilohertz, and I think the previous one wasn't 120 kilohertz if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And the ball looks real according to the content creators that I was watching videos on. I think I
Yeah.
must have spent 2 hours watching 2 or 3 videos on this particular model.
Mhm. Jimbo,
And
are you saying you have this particular one? You have the VP? Man, okay. Well, there it is. So, I mean, those are options for you to play. I thought you were going to be showing potentially the one that has like it's a combination of virtual playfield, but there's like
oh, right.
physical parts to it, right? Or like it's a physical machine, but like it's a physical ball that's rolling, but the screen changes or
Yeah.
something like that. Is that
There
have
was
you
a
seen that?
machine that came out. Yeah, you could swap out the physical table is what you could
Mm-hmm.
do.
Yeah, yeah,
That was like last year. I don't know if that ever went anywhere.
yeah.
But I don't know. So my wife is the one who talked me out of this.
Mm-hmm.
The virtual pin.
Mm.
She's all like, because she's a fan of the judge show, whatever, People's Court,
Hmm.
and the husband of the judge is all into pinball machines, and she thinks that's hot. And so I'm like, I'm gonna buy a pinball machine. She's like, that's hot. I was like, I'm thinking about buying this virtual
What?
pinball.
Buying a
Yeah,
pinball machine is like, yo,
she's
check
super
me out.
encouraging
I
about
got a
it, but
pinball
she's like,
machine.
no, you gotta own the real stuff, like the
Uh,
judge. I'm like, oh,
that's
okay,
funny.
well, I guess I'll buy the real stuff.
I'll buy the real thing. So some real pinball machines. So tell me, do you still have your VPin options? Do you have the Arcade1up ones? And do you have a Legends pinball too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're right
Okay.
here. They're like
Yeah.
3 feet from me.
Yeah. Have you ever done any additional modding with the Legends pinball? Like, did you do the PC or anything, or
I
is it
didn't do
just
the
stock
PC.
and
No.
adding? You haven't done the PC mod? Yeah. It's called OTG, or over the, was it on the go gaming is what they call it.
Right.
Um,
Named after the cable technology of
yes. Is
USB
it?
pairing.
Ah, okay, yeah. But yeah, the good thing about it is you could pair FX3 via Steam, and when I play tournaments, I usually will play my FX3 versions of the tables right here. So these are all FX3 tables, which are great. We know and love them, so I have them, and I still do plan to purchase them on Steam and play online. I don't know. I don't think that the new PinballFX, the one for the Addams family and things, have gotten a really good cabinet mode version of it yet. And so I
Mm.
think for folks that were saying, if you have it in a cabinet, FX3 will still be okay for a little while before you need to upgrade to, buying all these tables again from Pinball FX3. But I like it. I like it. It does definitely scratch that itch. All right. Smomoto says, got my first real pin 10 days ago. Gonna get rid of your V pin now. You just can't stand the flipper latency. Even 80 milliseconds, which is about as good as you can get for non-native tables, is brutal. How do you feel
He
about?
took it to the next level.
He did. He got really technical about flipper lag, and you could tell. I think there was really early complaints about the control lag in VPX and this table through OTG. It wasn't the PC. It wasn't anything. It was actually how the stock controllers are being used on the PC side. There was like screen lag, but they fixed it through some updates though, so it got better. But there's always going to be some level of it.
Yeah. I hate real pinball machines because then the latency is in my eyeballs. It's
you
just
can't
really
you can't
annoying.
blame anybody at that point, right? It's
Yeah,
just you.
I have
Cannot
lag.
blame anybody. All right. Yeah, he has a multi-kit from them. It wasn't too bad. Oh, the multimorphic. That's the one, which is that changeable one. All right. So
Changeable.
Night Scorpion says the virtual catalog helps find tables that you like the most. You need to spend quite a bit of time on any given time to layer it, appreciate it, perhaps buy your favorite, the real deal cabinet. So yeah. So speaking of, again, I spent 3 hours yesterday. I had some time to kill, so I went to a place called Neon Retro Arcade in Pasadena. They have 4 pinball machines there, and it was a Terminator 2, a Godzilla Pro,
Uh-huh.
a Addams Family, so that's why I was playing that for a little while, and then a Star Trek the new Star Trek that just came out. So I was like, all right, these are pretty cool. It's set to free play. It's $15 an hour. I realized I had not played a lot of T2. I think I've seen it a lot of places, but that machine tends to be like broken more than others, and I don't know
Oh
why.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's
So
an arcade here that has it, and I played it, and it was a lot of fun. And then when I went back the next time, I was like, dude, it doesn't work. Like I would
yeah.
just sit there, and the ball wouldn't do anything. It
Go.
wouldn't. It wouldn't
Yeah,
go.
and it has like this moving like launcher thing too, so maybe that's why. But I actually played that one at least like probably like 5 or 6 times. So I was like finally getting a feel for it. And then I
What do you
played
think of it?
Adam. Yeah, it was good. It's like I always think it's funny when, especially there if it's a movie IP, and I
Mm-hmm.
kept hearing Arnold's voice. I kept
Mm.
thinking about like how much did they pay for that audio session where he's just like shoot the target, uh,
Yeah.
get the laser, next automated, and like it's just like all these random sound bites. So I thought that was pretty cool. But it was decent. And I think it was,
You're.
I think, yeah, those games are definitely more challenging
Mm.
than I would think for being an older table.
What about Adam's Family?
That was a game that annoyed the hell out of me, honestly.
Really?
One, the ball
Why?
kept getting stuck because it was an older
Oh,
machine.
I
So there's
hate
certain
that.
things that like
Yes.
I had to like shake it so it was getting older. So there's a feature in that table where you hit the shot and it kind of goes around the back, and
Mm-hmm.
then the hand comes out of this thing it has a magnet and grabs it and then pulls it back and then it pops out at the bottom. But
Yep.
every time you hit that shot, you have to wait 10 seconds for the hand to come out, grab it, and then pull it out. And then sometimes it won't grab it, so it has to do it again. So you're like waiting. It just kills the gameplay.
Yeah.
It's kind of a fun feature, but like after the first time, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. After the fifth time, I was like, I don't want to shoot it there anymore. But I kept shooting it because it's like right in the middle. It's like one of the main
Yeah.
ramps that you hit. So that game really annoyed me after a while. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's what
Those in the chat that are talking about how virtual pin is a pretty good option, and I would go on live streams and I would talk about just basically talking about the AtGames Legends Pinball or the Arcade1up that I have. And then I was talking about buying Stern, and they were like, if you're going to buy Stern, why don't you go to the local arcade and at least play those games a couple hundred times,
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a good point. So for a while there, when it was warm during the summer, I was going to the pinball place every weekend, and the machines were kept very good. But this last time I went, I was like, okay, going to play my Jurassic Park. It's going to be great. And all of the multi-balls were stuck, on the left-hand side where the little thing sticks up. And so I was just nailing that shot, and it would just put the ball right back. And then
Yeah.
the whole thing would shake because it knew the ball wasn't coming through. So it was like trying to pop it out.
Yeah.
And it would eventually pop the ball out, but only give me one more ball.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, let me avoid that shot. And then I hit it. And boom, I just did it again, and it started all over again. And I told them, I was like, can you fix your table, please? I felt like an old man talking to this kid, telling him to get it fixed.
Fix more stuff, man.
Right.
Yeah. Somebody here also mentioned something that I want to bring up, because virtual pinball has come a long way. And it used to be you had to build it yourself, like physically build a cabinet yourself. You had to have a PC with a really decent graphics card. You had to have some basic skills to do this. So the home arcade versions, both AtGames and Arcade1up, really introduce a nice basic kit for the masses. But I want to say this guy, he said, I added the Cleveland software solenoids, highly recommended. Have you heard about Cleveland software design? Do you know this guy at all? So Philip Ellis is a guy that I connected with a while ago, and he's just a pinball fan. And I think this is his type website. Let's see if it's pulling it up. There it is. So Cleveland software design. He started off by making his own PCBs with a very simple custom solenoid, where if you wire it up, you can just wire it to the buttons, and when you press the button, it'll make the flipper sound. So it's not connected to the pinball table at all. So that's what he's talking about.
Okay.
So you can just have real feedback using a heavy duty solenoid. These are car solenoids, actually, which hit harder. But the old problem was, in the past, people wouldn't recommend them because they overheated. Well, he created a custom PCB board that diffuses the power, so you can just fire them all you want. So like that's his custom stuff. Really great stuff. But he's continuing to do more and more things. He has full-on kits now, where if you want to make a full-on pinball machine, he'll have all the gutsy hard portions of what you need to do, and you just need the body of it, and you could build a really decent PC internal build with his stuff. And it takes I would say like 90% of like the hard portion of wiring everything and getting all this stuff to figure out. He's done it. So I actually have, I don't know if you ever saw it, downstairs, I have a full-size virtual pinball machine that I've not built or touched in a while. Problem was, it had parts from about 7 years ago that are no longer like currently supported in the Vpin space, and so it was hard for me to continue using all those internal parts. So I work with Phil, and we connected. I got his virtual pinball builders kit. I think I got his like extreme kit, which is like $940.
Jeez.
But the legwork of being all this wired for you ahead of time, depending on what you're willing to put into it, it's amazing having this level of a shaker motor, 8 solenoids, and flashers here as well. I think a plunger. I think there's flashers there too. It's good stuff. So I mean, it can go deep if you wanted to do it. I think this is something I feel like I feel like you should try it, man. I
So
feel like
this is taking it to the next level.
a little bit, yeah, this is something. So I'm gonna take that machine downstairs, take parts of it out, and I'm gonna be using Phil's kit from Cleveland Software. So I can't wait to go back to that project, but it's been sitting there for like a year and a half because I wasn't able to use those order parts. But if you're interested more in really upgrading, he has, and this isn't just the only thing he has, but really good parts and components. These are like custom boards that he made. This KL25Z board that has all these little easy things to plug in. It can't be simpler now. So I highly recommend Phil. He does really good stuff.
That's very cool. That's good to know.
Yeah. All right. We got a $13.99 Canadian super chat from Smomoto. Says, so my first pin is a Star Wars Pro. A tough game, but mega addicting. B, what is your best score to date? I think he saw my Star Wars Pro. It's right over there. He knows about it. So yeah. So my I'm looking at my high score too, 689 million. I think it's rotating through my high scores right now. I don't know actually. I have no idea what my high score is. I think I want to say it's like 600 million. Do you know what like the highest score you've ever done? Have you ever made grand champion or like top 3 in a pinball machine before?
No, I only recently have decided that I'm gonna start keeping track. By on the Stern machines by connecting, because I saw basically your video. You were like, you were showing your stats of, it tracks how many games that you've played. And I was like, oh man, I wish I'd have known that like a year ago. I saw the QR code, but I was like, not really.
For Sterns, yeah. 760 million was my grand champion score on Star Wars Pro. So it's not that great. I know some people over $1 billion, but that's what it is. Let me know, Smomoto, if you beat 760 million. And I think I did it with Luke. But yeah, the SternNet, dude, they're tracking everything that you're doing. So
that video made me think, because in software development, there's analytics, right? So basically every single time a user does something, it's like track. But then it's all reported in aggregates, right? So you can kind of measure if something is effective or not. And it made me think, like, Stern has all these people connected, and they could probably tell, like, in their analytics, maybe at aggregates, like, where are the businesses getting the most plays, right? Like, could they use that data then to be like, okay, this arcade place has a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
And then you're like, hey, we should get more machines.
If you look at the Stern Locator website, I think they're looking for people that are really using the Stern Insider Connect, so they can either collect that data, like you were saying, because there are some places that have Stern machines that aren't on that list. And I'm like, oh, why aren't they? Because maybe they're not connected to Wi-Fi. So one, it has to be connected to Wi-Fi, and then the QR code reader has to work. In fact, I think when I went to one of the places yesterday, I was playing it, but the QR code reader was not working. So either that, they didn't connect it to Wi-Fi. So it doesn't have to be connected. But I think you're right. I think they are looking for more data in terms of like which popular places you can get more play data. I mean, internally, every machine tells you that, right? Like how many times it's been played, how much money it's made.
Sure.
But yeah, I think the Stern Locator thing has been, I'm sad there's not many more places around me. I had to drive pretty far, at least 30 minutes away before I find a place that has decent pinball machines.
Yeah. If you don't mind, I'd like to show that.
Yep.
For those that don't know, this is a fantastic tool. You go to sternpinball.com, and then you go, where is it at? You get games, and then you go to Stern Pinball Locator. You put in your town, it does a map, right? Those are all the places in my area that have Sterns, and more than Stern, right? It's powered by this Pinball Map. If you scroll down, you can kind of see, like, so I'll show you the operating room, which is this is the place I go to a lot. If you hit the game list, boom, it's going to show you all the games that they have.
Oh, nice. I bet those are all connected. Oh, and they have other things besides Stern there too. So that's nice. American and Jersey Jack. So it's telling you other stuff too.
So then Old School Pinball Arcade. Now this one is a very, this is a, you pay admission, and then it's all free play, right? But this one, if you look at it, like, it shows everything they have. And there it is. See, they have the Jurassic Park Premium. And I was chatting with that owner. I was like, you want to get rid of your... He was like, hell no, I'm not selling you that. But see, they even have old machines in here. See, remember I was talking about the Terminator 2? That's the one. and
Yeah.
even the Star Wars Episode 1, which is it's listed in here on the Stern website. It's fantastic. So
That's
see what I
cool.
was telling you? Like this small little area of Des Moines, look how many pinball places there are.
And if you look in the same place in where I live in California, it is
Let's see.
not that great.
What is
Put
it?
in Torrance.
Torrance? Is it
Yeah, put in
with an A?
Torrance. Yeah.
Torrance, California.
Laser Storm. Yeah, they have one pinball machine and it's not a Stern. Oh, actually, is it? I think it is, actually. I think it's
So Laser Storm, and then you got
click on games list for Laser Storm. It's like one
okay.
machine. It's like a laser tag place. Yeah, it's a Ghostbusters.
Why does Des Moines have more
Yeah.
than Torrance?
Yeah, it's
But
pretty
see,
sad. Like I got
you can be in Long Beach. How long away is Long Beach?
it's still like 9 miles, 10 miles away.
You can get
Beechwood. Did you
anywhere
pull
in
it up?
LA
Yeah.
in
Oh,
15 minutes.
Pinball Wizards is a place. Oh, 82. 82. Hey, if we so there's a couple places on here that we need to put on our list if we come to
That's
LA.
right.
82 is on that list right there. It was
Where's
there.
82?
It's a little bit further down. It went down. Down. That's in downtown LA. 2-Bit Circus and then
Okay.
82 right there. 2-Bit Circus is pretty
Whoa, there we go. Look at that.
Yeah. That's the list right there. Look at that list. It's a good
Come
list.
on.
Yeah.
Let's see. Deadpool.
That's where I went to last
Right,
night.
right.
So
There
yeah, it
we
was
go.
pretty fun. And they have other retro arcades and things too. So 82 is probably like one of the best arcades in
Fishtail,
LA. It's good
Iron
stuff.
Man, Drexburg Pro.
Yeah.
Ooh, they got the Star Wars Premium. They got
Oh,
the
Crystal says you
Premium.
can use pinballmap.com directly. So you know
Oh,
you know
cool.
to use them. Okay. So it's not even a Stern thing. It's just
Yeah.
like pinballmap.com.
Yeah.
All right. I need to bookmark this so I can definitely go check it out. That makes complete sense.
Yep.
Pinballmap.com. It's not just Sterns. It's all this other good stuff too.
That's right.
All right. When's the LA trip? We're hoping next summer. I'm
yeah.
hoping
We're thinking
around
E3,
June.
right?
I'm thinking around E3. That would be fun. You really want to try Deadpool table. I played Deadpool yesterday, even a pro version. That's a very fun table, even at the pro level. Has this
Really?
big giant katana sword. It looks really nice for a pro model machine too. Some people were asking a couple questions. Biggie D says, do you think Arcade1up will make new pinball in 2023? What do you think? Is this going to be something that they do?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
What we heard last was it was on streams. Someone asked John D, will we get new pinball machines? And he was very like, no. My guess is that they came out with the pinball machines. They were hoping they could sell them for $4.99, like, and have a good profit, and everyone wins. And then costs went up right as that, the pandemic started, and right as that machine was getting out there, they had to launch it at $550, and then they had to raise the price to like $750. So my guess is Zen probably has a little incentive to do another set of machines, and it's probably not where their bread and butter is.
Yeah,
it's just a guess. I could be completely wrong. I mean,
they
could just surprise us, but the problem is also the Legends Ultimate came out, and Legends Ultimate was like, it was like both companies were coming out with pinball machines and betting that their machine would be the better one. And I don't think Arcade1up anticipated AtGames coming out with a 32-inch screen and 1080p
at the same price point,
right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
From a competition standpoint, I mean, pros and cons, but yeah, out of the two, if you had the time and investment, you really could get the most out of that Legends pinball. But Team Encoder, even though it's not officially endorsed by Arcade1up, that sold so many Arcade1up pinball machines. I mean, I think so, right? As soon as people found out that you can mod it, it's just like what Hilo Hack did for the MBSX, right? Once you find out you could mod it really easily, that was the big thing that really sold cabinets. And Team Encoder, I do think they are solely responsible for how well, if any, that those pinball machines have been selling. Somebody else asked the question about what do I think about the AOP haptics upgrade kit from Buy Stuff Stores. So this is so haptic feedback, or just any feedback. There's physical feedback. Whoop, that's the wrong one. This one, and there's also surround sound feedback. So this is the exciters that you see there plugged into a specific amp. These are to upgrade the kind of those the farting and haptics in the front.
Yeah.
What you can replace them with these two up front that feel much better, as well as adding a little bit more bass. So no, without having to change and mod a lot of things, this will upgrade that haptics kit. Me personally, while surround sound feedback, there's some people in the VPN community that say surround sound feedback is just as good, and if done correctly, feels better than real physical solenoids. And maybe it's just me not tinkering with my sound settings as much, but I feel like nothing replaces like a real thunk that I can feel. Like I
Yeah.
have the surround sound, like tweeters or exciters and thing, and like when I turn the volume, I can kind of feel it and hear it when I hit the thunk, but I personally still prefer the physical things. If you had to choose between the two, like what you think are gonna make the biggest difference, I think that 129 kit that person was saying, 120 kit for the flippers will be the biggest thing that like feel really different every time you click it. It just makes such a really nice. I don't know if you can hear that, but that it just feels so freaking good. Yeah, good stuff. All right, so that's what I think about that. Any other questions here? 750 killed all the interest for the Arcade1up pinball machines. Do you think so? Do you think that price point was something that
I
scared
think it
away a lot of
definitely
people?
hurt them
Yeah.
because at $750,
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, you got more options, right?
Mhm.
I don't know. I think it hurt, and I mean, right now with it being at $399,
Mhm.
even with inflation, post inflation or whatever,
Mhm.
$399. I think if you haven't got one, I
Mhm.
mean, I wonder if that's why people are asking. Do you think they'll come out with one soon?
Mhm.
Should you wait? Well, if you wait and they do come out with one, it probably won't be $399.
Mhm.
See, this is the thing. I don't know. No one can predict the future, and I don't think Arcade1up has leaked any details for us to
Yeah.
bite on related to it. Um, Here's my question: if they come
Mhm.
out with another one, is it going to be the same mold? It's going to be
Mhm.
exactly the same parts. Is it
Mhm.
going to be the same price, or are they going to go to a 32-inch screen?
And try to
Who
compete? Yeah.
who knows?
I don't know. Yeah, I and plus like with the team encoder mod stuff too, would they like try to stop people being able to put those tables on that? Like what value you're gonna get out of it? I think the VPN was a one-time thing. I think those are the three tables we're gonna get. Plus
We could
that like
mhm.
yeah.
We could be
Yeah.
wrong, but again, for $399, maybe people don't know how hard is the hack on the pinball machine. Would you say what level of?
The
Because I
hack
mean,
for
I got
the
emails recently. It's like I've never modded any. I'm not a tech guy, so I think some of the audience members they're very low when it comes to tech. But is it something anyone could do?
for the team encoder mod. Oh yeah, it was one of the most user-friendly mods. Even initially when there wasn't even a good user interface and you had to type using PowerShell scripts, there were still people that were like, I barely know how to plug into a thing, and I was able to follow the instructions. It was kind of a neat community underground thing when it first came out, and people were like excited to feel like they felt like it's weird. The first time I ever modded something and I was going through the process like, oh, I feel like a hacker, but there's already all this like work that's put into it. You're just following the steps. And
Right.
I think there was a guy that showed a video of him doing it for the first time, and he posted it on Facebook, and that was like the motivating thing for mystery encoder to make it even easier and keep going, because he saw the feedback of somebody that was like, oh, like he was genuinely like, I just typed this in and holy shit, I'm playing. And it's like, and he
Right.
felt like he was hacking it. And like technically he is, but it was like 30 minutes of effort, one cable into your PC, follow the steps. Like the new
Yeah.
UI is so easy. It's step 1, 2, and 3. You used to have to wait for chimes and symbols. It's really easy. I think
Right. I haven't done it, but I've watched how to do it. Right. You need a Windows PC. You
that's
need a
it.
USB cable,
That's it.
and you need to get over the fear that you're going to brick your pinball
Correct,
machine.
because you could always reflash it back to stock if you brick it. They've almost made it brick proof with if it's on, and like because you can use the stock Arcade1up Phoenix Flash tool, which is available on their website right now. Because the way that you do the Attack from Mars update, you have to use a flashing tool. So they
Which
already
is
provide that to you,
yeah.
and you could use that to reflash any of the PCs back to the current ones. And before it was that was a tricky conundrum because when Arcade1up released all 3 updates, they released the source APKs, right, that
Right.
you could load up. They're since gone, but they're out there.
Yeah.
It's like, if you just Google them, you can definitely find them. But yeah, there's like very, 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 very minuscule chance that you can truly brick your PCB.
Right.
But
So
there's
you
a
need
small
you
chance.
need to know that Mystery Encoder's website's out there. The
Yes.
file is called an APK that's named
Yes.
after Android. So Attack from Mars APK,
Mhm.
you could find it. And then you run the software on a Windows machine. There's some
Yeah.
instructions and you kind of wizard your way through.
Yeah.
And it can
Absolutely.
be undone.
That's it. It's it. For 30 tables that you can up, and then the Zen tables too, the tutorial that I did to add just extra tables, because the Zen library, the FX3 at the time, or even just the Android version of Zen tables that you can play, I think it's upward of like 100 tables. So
Hmm.
there's 30, but you can get up to 70 more just from the Zen tables and
And
using
you
that.
can pay for those. You
You
can
can pay
go
for
to the
those.
Android store
Absolutely.
and literally pay for them
Correct.
and then take those APKs and put them on your machine.
That's exactly what we're telling people to do. Exactly. So yeah, that's what the tutorial did, and so it was fun. I think it was a fun mod. But even I'm looking at it because it's like over there.
Hmm.
I still only have my Arcade1up pinball because of the modding community. Because I'm holding on to it to see what else. There's another guy in the community. His name is Kai. He's been on my show, RNSK Skunkworks. He helped me
Hmm.
mod that S panel in my Tron, and he really likes the Arcade1up pinball machine, and he's also been doing some community mods to kind of, I would say, tack on to the Team Encoder mods that they've done, because people have been waiting for what he calls version 4.0,
Hmm.
because right now there's no current digital backglass,
Yeah.
um, what is it? Feature that works with it. But that was promised that like, hey, he
But
wanted to
that's
do
just for the
something.
Zen games, right? The
The designing
additional,
games.
right? The
Yeah, for the
Android ones.
additional
Yeah.
games. Yeah. So when you change tables, it still says like if you have your stock back glass, right? But the DMD will change. But that's the next level mod. Put in because the thing about the Arcade1up screen, the back glass, it was so easy to put a monitor and replace the plexiglass. When I talked about like how easy it was to put a third screen in an Arcade1up machine, you just drop a 22-inch monitor and it fits exactly
Same with this.
that exact bezel. There's certain monitors, a 22-inch monitor will fit exactly into that space. No modifications of the cab, instant 3 screens. Versus the AtGames Legends, if you wanted a 3-screen back box, you had to either go through Buy Stuff Store or build your own to really update your back box. I mean, those were just like hardware software solutions, right? That was really hard to do. So I think if you're into modding and even want a base kit, if you bring up the Arcade1up again, it actually even becomes a very easy 3-screen mod to do a full PC mod too. Like it's really perfect. It was so easy to drop in that screen. So once you have that digital screen, if you're not doing a full PC, Kai's gonna do a mod, and then I hope Team Encoder eventually might release their version of it. So I'm holding on to my Arcade1up pinball just potentially to tinker and do mods, because
Yeah.
from a pinball standpoint, I pretty much can play this main one or a big one. So no more arcade. Out of the three,
But then you
are you
have the
playing?
Godzilla coming, right?
I do. I do. I don't know where it's gonna go. I
You
don't.
literally have no place for it.
It might go exactly where I'm sitting right now. So
No
yeah,
more
because
YouTube. You're done.
there's this like little empty hole where like my laptop is set up right now, and then like that's the hole that this laptop is in. So potentially, but this is actually supposed to be where my I think somebody had mentioned it here. Not that it's a buy stuff store. Where is it? What do I think about the buy stuff racing cabinets? Have you seen
Ah,
this?
no.
Yeah.
Show me.
Yeah, the buy stuff store. If you don't like, so these guys have been just doing a ton of stuff for the community. They call
Yeah,
themselves buy stuff arcades.
so far, like buy stuff is becoming like one of the biggest accessory vendors out there very quickly.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so this is the Buy Stuff Store website. They have lots of things for modding your Legends products and other arcade things too. The risers that they do for the risers for Arcade1ups, it really help, especially like the Dragons There one. So those are some nice musts. But this is where do they have it? Did I have it? This where's their whole racing kit? Oh, here it is, right there. Batch 3 sold out, coming for more. So this is what it is. It's a really nice looking
Oh my gosh.
home racing kit.
Oh my
And it's
gosh.
just a kit. And this chair is just a office chair that you can purchase and mount on it. But they
Hmm.
sell the artwork for this. They designed it. You can put your own wheel, but it looks really clean for a racing arcade setup. So
How much is the kit?
it's sold out now, but it is around, I think I want to say like $600 or $700.
Really?
Yeah. And then
Shipped?
I don't know what the shipping
And you
cost
got to
is.
bring your own TV?
Yeah, I think so. Or I think you could have it included. I think they have options for like your back box and what you want. The cab base, the seat, and the back box.
I
And
see.
there's like, oh wait, so here's the cab base is $299.
Okay.
The seat base is $89. And then the back box is $349. And then it
Okay.
does require a 32-inch monitor, and it gives you options for what they use. So yeah, $349, $299. So yeah, about like $700 something plus
But then
plus shipping.
yeah, so about 749 it looks like. And then
Yeah.
but that you still got to bring your own steering wheel, right?
Got to
You
bring your own
get that
steering
you
wheel, got
get
to bring your
that.
own monitor.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what you get.
It's pretty
It's
cool. I mean, this is literally like what a ton of people have been asking Arcade1up to do that we've
mhm,
been saying they'll never do. They'll never just sell wood on its own.
mhm.
People are like, why
What
doesn't these companies just sell
would
wood? Yeah.
would? So I have the this whatchamacallit, I have the base and I have the seat base. And I have a secret project that I've been waiting on my buddy George Adana. If you're listening, George, hook me up. So I think I told you he and I were working on Star Wars Battle Pod version of this. So
Oh my
imagine
gosh.
this base and this,
Yes.
and I already have the art and the chair that looks like the base for Star Wars Battle Pod, and then he 3D printed me the flat screen version of Star Wars Battle Pod,
Yeah.
and I was gonna build a shell with the 32-inch monitor around it and have my own Star Wars Battle Pod at home.
Where are you going
Been
to put
waiting,
that?
been waiting, right where I'm sitting, where the Pinside yeah, it's supposed to.
You can't put everything there.
Shh. Mrs. Converse is downstairs. She doesn't
It's
know.
not like the TARDIS or something where you just have endless
it
space.
it was supposed to go exact. That's it's empty here because that project is downstairs waiting to be built. I just need that extra piece. But I was also saying like, shoot, like this is why I was talking about maybe I become an arcade operator, and then I put my Star Wars pinball machine
There you
out in the
go.
universe, and then I
What
replace it there. So
what about now the show's turned into buy stuff, but what about
yeah.
Nooner's comment about I've been hearing people talking about this, the buy stuff Ridge Racer mod
Mm-hmm.
and Outrun?
Oh yeah, yeah. They're doing so much good stuff. So yeah, that is the latest version. That uh, one of my very first things I did was mod my Outrun, and I had to use a specialized encoder that I used to mod my Star Wars machine. And then I found a new encoder that became sold out. Nobody can find it, and now they, just like Cleveland Software Design, have said here are the requirements of a PCB, and they're working with a PCB printer in China, and then getting them custom made. So that's really cool. So very soon you'll be able to essentially turn your Ridge Racer or Outrun into a USB wheel, and then put in your own PC, Android box, whatever type of racing games you want to play. I still recommend PC because you have more flexibility, but some people really, really love the tiny Raspberry Pi Android box stuff. Like they're afraid of PCs. So
You could throw a PC right in that Ridge Racer, right? Like just right in that open space. This out of all the mods that we've been talking about,
mhm.
I have the
Yeah.
Ridge Racer, and I'm like down for the buy stuff
Mhm.
PC mod. Like I don't know,
Mhm.
it just I didn't ever want to do that with Star Wars because I think
Mhm.
the Star Wars is like, oh, I want to keep that stock. I like that game, what it represents. Just turn on,
Mhm.
easy to play. But
Mhm.
with the Ridge Racer, I'm like, oh, I'm down. Like,
Yeah.
let me mod
So
that like crazy.
So this is the reason why I sold my Outrun cabinet. I sold my Outrun mod, the one that I did like with the pimped out chair and everything, because one, it
Mm-hmm.
took up a lot of space in my arcade. Like the sit down chair, it's just way too much space, and it wasn't the most, I would say, like comfortable in terms of sitting down. And so the buy stuff one, yes, it's a sit down, but it's also like having my own Star Wars battle pod. It was just way more iconic than an Outrun cab that I was attached to, just because I built it. But that's why I sold it. So I sold it to replace it with that, and it was going to become my racing rig plus my battle pod. So it's gonna be weird because it wasn't. That's why I felt like, hey, it's a battle pod, but I'm racing on it, right? Doesn't feel right, but
I
I don't
see.
know. I'm torn. I don't know. I have this debate with myself all the time. Like, why would I do these things? It's because it's cool, man. I don't know.
But to buy stuff, right? They're taking the stock steering wheel from Arcade1up and
Hmm.
USB-ifying it,
Yes.
plug it into a
Plug into
PC,
anything you want to.
and then they can tap into the force feedback.
Correct.
So
Yes.
cosmetically, when you look at the outside of the machine, it looks stock. Like
Correct.
you're not. The only thing you're doing is putting in an encoder that will connect to the monitor
Hmm.
and wiring the sound and the control board
Hmm.
to a PC.
Yeah. And
then
they also do sell their own racing game box, which is like an Android box that has some
yeah.
compatible games on it too. So they are doing some very good plug and play stuff. Absolutely. So
And that's the machine where I'm down. Like I'm fine with. So as a PC inside, give me a little wireless keyboard. It
mhm,
has a shelf
mhm.
right there. You can because controlling games with the steering wheel is really dumb to me.
You could do it. You mean navigating a UI? So
Navigating a UI.
when I did my outrun mod, I used the shifter as my navigator up and down.
Yes, that's
So
what
I
I would
had
do.
a front end. I had a front end for big box and launch box, and so as you navigate, it was moving the thing up and down to click,
Yes.
press the button to select, and then
Yeah.
press one of the other buttons to exit. So that's how I had my mod set
Yeah.
up.
If they get that set up, okay, cool. Then
Yeah.
no need for a keyboard.
Yeah. So stuffing with stock cockpit, Arcade1up battle racing rig. Yeah. So Alejandro is like he's a modder too. He does a lot of things. He has a full on Star Wars cockpit, by the way. So there's another community guy, Billy Wright, that was offering Star Wars cockpits. And so Alejandro got one. I think he's gonna say Star Wars cockpit, which I also got. It's at Bobby Vu's house. It's also gonna go in the same place where I'm sitting right now. My dream was to have a Star Wars sit-down cockpit next to my Star Wars battle pod so that I can play a racing game with the yoke or a racing game with the wheel, link them together. So instead of having like two Daytonas that would be linked, it would be two different functional racing cabs that are skinned like Star Wars. So in a future video, I will be playing Daytona linked inside of my Star Wars battle pod mod, and my Star Wars cockpit will be the dream in the same spot where I'm sitting right now.
In the exact same spot. And
Where
then
my
you and your
Star
wife
Wars-
will play against each other and you'll stream two screens.
yeah.
Actually, that would be kind of cool.
Yeah. So that's it, man. So it's been good. We've been talking for an hour. There's maybe a couple more questions here in the chat. We can wrap up. JT Brunick says, B, are there any mods for Xbox 360s that can use the Xbox 360 steering wheel? You love that thing. I don't really do console mods that much. Have you done anything with an Xbox 360? I know you can. I'm sure there's stuff out there, but I've not personally done anything with it.
I have a 360, but I haven't modded it. I haven't done anything like that, or I haven't played it. I don't have the steering wheel on it.
I mean, you could always just put it into. I've seen a lot of people that used to do the racing panel on a Gen 1 Arcade1up and then throw an Xbox 360 in there so you can play your games on an arcade style cabinet. So you could always do that.
I would say this, if I can pull it up. This is if you could do an Xbox 360 here.
Yeah.
So the 360 is a 16:9 console, right?
Correct.
So it's HDMI out. You'll plug that straight into a 32-inch monitor. You put your Xbox 360 controller right there. Maybe you have a little Xbox 360 like hand controller, like if you wanted to navigate quickly through the menus. I mean, now in taking a 360 and putting it in anything home arcade, I guess you could do it with a Legends Ultimate because that's also 16:9. But I wouldn't do it on an Arcade1up because then the resolution's going to be all messed up.
Since it is an Xbox wheel, I'm pretty sure it is PC compatible too. So you might just plug it into your PC and just start messing around with emulators, and you might not even need the Xbox 360. And then I would just go budget PC, and there's tons of retro things you can do with the PC. Last couple of things. You watched some of our cool videos. Thank you so much, Bard. The one with the slot machine was cool. Bill Wright, hello, says, do I still have the Star Trek pinball machine? Why, yes, I do. It is right there. We were talking about it earlier. It is running my full VPX and Pin-Up Popper mod. So these are all the fun little tables. It's not currently mapped out, but I love the interface for this. It's really fun. 3 screens, DuckTales. Sometimes, like, I like scrolling more than I like playing. I definitely have Netflix syndrome when I'm looking at these tables, but it's cool to know that it's there. All right. Any final thoughts on the topic? What new pinball machines are coming into your home soon, or are you going to be inspired to play your Vpins coming up?
I don't know. I'm starting to think of doing the
The
mod
mod?
on my Legends
You should do
Ultimate.
it.
Like, why not?
Let's do it live right now.
Live right now.
Yeah.
I have all the
Yeah.
parts, everything I need magically. Here.
Yeah, you do. All you need is a micro USB cable to.
For the Arcade1up? No. I meant the Legends Ultimate.
Oh, the Legends one. You could do that too right now. Let's try it out. Yeah.
I gotta buy a PC first.
Do you? Oh, you have all Macs in your house? Are you running?
No, I'm running on a PC right now, but
and
it does have a pretty good, I don't know, video card on it.
Would you do the Team Encoder mod on your Arcade1up pinball?
Yeah, I'll do that soon.
Yeah, should do it. It'd be fun.
Cool.
Fun. All right, there it is. Thank you all so much for joining the show. This was a little impromptu. Thank you, Justin, for the inspiration to keep talking about a topic that I've been becoming more and more involved with. I feel like I have decent experience working with both Arcade1up and the AtGames Legends pinball machine. So virtual pinball, I dove deep really fast, but it's funny because I still get questions currently about this mod. And I did it over a year and a half ago, and like I forgot everything I did already. So people are like, "What did you do on the inside to wire everything?" If you open this up, it's like wires everywhere. Everything was good. But yeah, I have since now will trust people like Phil, and I refer everybody to vendors now instead of trying to like help people as much as I can. But real pinball, yeah, Godzilla Premium will be exactly in this spot in about a year and a half. Thank you guys. Cool. We'll talk to you later.
All right.
Bye,
it was great, man.
All right. See ya. Bye-bye. She wanted to keep dancing.
It's a good outro song.
All right. See you guys later. Bye.
See ya.